Alright, time for another draft physics video presentation. Okay, enough of that. So, the naked ape, yeah, it's probably a better, description. Forum. Apparently, the forum, again, he's complaining now that we're debating, and you're not supposed to debate ideas. It's not a scientific thing. Debating, if it plays no role in picking which theory is the best, you shouldn't have any debates. There shouldn't be any arguments. You don't present evidence and scrutinize the evidence. You just choose one arbitrarily without any scrutiny. Scrutiny, that's what debate is scrutiny. Yeah. So anyway, just too silly. So he's closed it again. All right. Of course, I didn't do a damn thing wrong. All right, and it's closed for no good reason. So I have posted the links that I left unlisted. They're now public, that were part of this slop. My investment in them trying to make a rational conversation. They clearly can't make the argument, and that's why they have to keep running away. Absolutely nothing tragic. There was no, human tragedies here. There wasn't like this was the Hindenburg exploding. Oh, the humanities. No, nothing like that. They closed it because they can't deal with the fact they don't have evidence to defend their silly frickin' theories. It's that simple. They're running a religion. It really is a cabal in the sense that clearly these people are running the show. They're saying what will allow to be published. They're controlling it. All right, and they're clearly controlling it not based on what arguments are worth having. They're only about what arguments they can win. All right, there's the confirmation bias here is overt and disgusting. They don't even know what confirmation bias is. They're clearly just forcing the evidence to fit their daydreams. Yeah, it's just amazing. So anyway, first asshole. Now this bored chemist guy, it's hard to believe he's a chemist. He's so fucking goddamn stupid. He can't get anything right. So I said, the fact is, painfully simple. This is where we left off. In the video I've now made public on the website, part 3. Part 2 is missing. I'll get to that eventually. So anyway, the fact is, painfully simple experiments can provide decisive answers. So that's the point I made. That really, we shouldn't even have to debate this because the evidence should be so easily acquired. Springs and levers will tell you the truth here. And they don't have those experiments. In 350 years, they haven't put them together. They haven't shown us the one side of the lever producing twice as much energy as the other side. Obviously, because it doesn't happen. Confirmation bias. Don't include evidence that doesn't support our theory. Okay, so he says, show us a video of one then. So I do. Anyway, but first, this asshole says, this is the asshole who closed the thread, Kyribid, whatever the fuck that shit is as a name. I'm leery of letting you do this. So I said I would like the opportunity to respond to the many accusations. So I decided not to. I decided to be a grown-up and say, fuck it. I'm not going to counter-argue these raggy comments. These morons who haven't even read the thread talking about who I am and what I'm up to. It's so offensive that these dirtbags would think they have any right to do that kind of crap. But yeah, what's the point of me pointing that out, right? If I have to point that out to you, that's real dirtbag behavior, then what's the point of me talking to you? You're really stupid. So I said, no, I don't need to. I don't need to respond because anybody intelligent is going to see all of that is hearsay crap. It's just really bad evidence of any scientific theory. You saying that guy's a duty. Yeah, that's not really good evidence. Okay, anyway. Made in the previous post, and will do so if I'm permitted the liberty. So I did so in the video. I read all their crappy shit moron comments and pointed out how this whole vector scalar thing is made up baby bullshit. Baby slobber. It has no meaning whatsoever. It's just made up, contrived bullshit. I have declared one, sacred, and the other one is not. No. Do you really think there was immaculate conceptions? You really think kinetic energy is special? It's in every direction. La, 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 la. but momentum's only one direction, then you're really dumb. Okay. I'm literally letting you do that. Literally, why? I didn't do anything wrong in the previous post, obviously. I didn't do a damn thing wrong but say, I believe momentum's good stuff. I think Newton, Descartes, and Galileo did good physics, and I'm going to defend their physics as good physics against your slander, where you never prove them wrong about anything. You just say they're wrong. Okay. Given what happened in your original thread, nothing happened except you wet your pants, okay, and ran to mommy, okay? You went to your other moderators and says, can we find an excuse to get out of this because we can't handle the truth? That's what happened, you silly coward. And I'm going to expose it. And, you know, eventually you're going to be found out, okay? Your little secret isn't going to be a secret anymore. Everybody's going to know you're a fucking whiny bitch coward. You can't handle the truth. Okay. Besides, you're probably going to make a video about this. Well, why does that have anything to do with it? It's an argument. You're saying we can't have arguments. We can't have debates. We can't have discussions. We can't have any interaction that doesn't have something to do with somebody saying thank you to you. You only want to hear somebody say thank you. You're so smart. Oh, your brain. Can I rub your big giant brain? If they say anything else to you, you think it's some sort of shit talk and can't be allowed. You're pathetic. You know, I'm a vain, narcissistic type person, but you make me look ridiculous as a psychotic. You are so fucked in the head. Full of your own aggrandizing bullshit that you take your power and abuse it this way. Right in front of people, you sit there and abuse your power so disgustingly. And you're so clueless that, oh, nobody will ever find out I'm really an idiot, okay, pretender. Yeah, well, I found out. I barely scratched on your little brain and a bunch of pus leaked out. Okay. About this thread, you address what you've been said here anyway. Yes, of course I want to address it. And I could be addressing how, well, you had the courage to man up and say, let's face the subject. But no, you just weaseled out again. Okay, so why don't we actually try to do something productive instead? La 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 la. I don't think there was anything unproductive with the thought experiments, frankly, except you had to try to pervert them and create rusty levers and bent pendulums and all kinds of horseshit to try to get out of the simple fucking experiments. So again, just more bullshit. I propose that we actually try to find a way to do the experiment. Well, I think it'd be better to have somebody who's really good at it do it. So instead, we should be encouraging people who actually have channels where they have whole workbenches, where they can, they have the right equipment, the right cameras, the right everything to do it right. And maybe if more than one person, just me, was suggesting they do it, maybe if a few people showed up and, I'm offering big money to them, frankly, and you could contribute to that, and maybe we could get the experiments done right, instead of a bunch of amateur assholes doing them. Okay. Experiment that will test the kinetic energy equation to your satisfaction. To anyone's satisfaction. Any reasonable person should want evidence. Well, I don't know why you think it's just some great idea that you've all decided to believe in something and you really don't have any physical evidence to support it. You can't reference any. You can't cite me to this great experiment that, it really shows how all that kinetic energy just poofed into existence. Yep, really shows it. You don't have the experiment. I've already been thinking about this, but I'm limited in my options. I don't have a high-speed camera, so you don't need that. So making accurate measurements of velocity directly would be potentially difficult for me. So I explain that's not a problem. I currently have 2 ideas. So again, I have about 50. So what? Okay, one is to do your lever experiment and calculate. So this is where it all goes wrong again. And calculate how fast the lighter ball is moving once it is thrown into the air by how high it flies. So clearly we already know that's deceptive. That's the old argument. Even if I take 2 equal mass objects and I want one of them to go twice as fast, I have to move it 4 times higher in gravity just to double its velocity. So you know that's a gimmick. So let's not play with gravity, because we know gravity, well, you don't know it, I know it, okay? Gravity gives you force based on your mass, okay? So the lighter one catches less force. So yes, it goes higher into the gravity, but it also requires it to fall further in the gravity. But to double velocity, you have to go 4 times higher in gravity. That doesn't mean that you're quadrupling its energy. Oh, pathetic. It flies. Given a known ball mass and the force of gravity, the velocity should be calculated from how high the ball goes. So, of course, that's fine as long as you recognize the absolute fact, okay, that 4 times the height only means twice the velocity. So as long as we recognize that's true, fine. But if you're going to make some argument that because it went 4 times higher, it has 4 times the velocity, well, that's horse shit. All right, the second would be a similar idea, but using a spring instead of a lever. I'm not going to do anything until we can agree on setup, though, yes. So I confirm that by saying, so he says, the fact is, I said, okay, the fact is, painfully simple experiments can provide decisive answers. Show us a video of one then. Okay, so I'm responding to the dim-witted chemist. I'm only asking for the same thing from you. You contend that things with the same momentum can have different energies. That's their contention. 2 identical momentums, very different energies. 2,000 joules, 2 joules. Same exact momentum, very different energies. And I'm simply saying, well, gee, could you show me you collecting those bigger energies? Let's see a tug of war, 2,000 to 2. The bullet against the 2-liter bottle. And you show me how the bullet wins by 1,000 times. It's 1,000 times more powerful than the 2-liter bottle. I'm just saying, show me. Okay. So here's the other guy's comments. I'm not going to do anything until we can agree on the setup, though. I have likewise, so I'm saying, limited ability to do technically precise experiments. I don't have a lab. I don't have blah, 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 blah. I likewise don't want to expend the effort if in the end you will just claim some loophole. So yes, we do have to agree on the experiment and how we're going to perform our calculations. Yeah. Okay. I don't have a high-speed camera, and so I say, in analyzing different videos, I have found that 30 frames a second to be more than adequate. For most experiments at human-type speeds, 30 frames a second is really good enough to tell how fast something's moving. All right, calculate how fast the lighter ball is moving once it is thrown into the air by how high it flies. So I point out, as long as we agree that its maximum velocity will be at liftoff, so it has its maximum velocity, its maximum amount of kinetic energy when it lifts off and when it lands. So as long as it's agreed that the only MV value we're going to use is the mass and the velocity at takeoff and the mass and velocity at landing, that's fine. But if you're going to say, because it went 4 times higher, I'm going to do a quadratic equation and figure out its average speed, bullshit then. All right, liftoff velocity, where the kinetic energy is its maximum and the gravitational potential energy is its minimum. It obviously doesn't have any gravitational potential energy, but the point is that gravity will be taking, at liftoff, gravity hasn't taken any of the energy yet, and at landing, gravity's given back all of the energy. So that's the key point, is gravity is not any, isn't a factor. The object has its velocity. All right, the velocity it lifted off with. The second would be a similar idea using springs instead of a lever, and I point out the catch with springs is that they must be balanced to the size of the objects. The spring must be stiff fast enough to move the lighter object at the higher required speed. So you know, obviously my arm can only move, say, 90 miles an hour. So I can't throw something faster than I can move my hand. The same is true with a spring. A spring expands at a speed. If we are trying to push something with the spring that needs to go faster than the spring can push, obviously you're not going to be able to do that. So obviously your spring has to be stiff enough to move quickly enough to move the object at the speed required to absorb the energy. Technical point, but you know, some of this physics conversation should actually have some physics in it. Yeah. Okay, so a bored chemist, lying sack of dirty, smelly, raggy shit. Okay, you contend that things with the same momentum can have different energies. I'm just saying, show me. And he says, we did. Yeah. I mean, you just have to pause at that and say, what the fuck? So he clearly didn't show me any experiments. So all he's done so far is lie and say Newton said F equals ma. Then he said that somehow F equals ma is a rational equation. I don't know, who invented it? If it's not Newton's equation, where did it come from? Have you ever asked that question? Yeah, where'd it come from? Who made it up? yeah, whose dopey equation is it? Whose dopey equation is W equals F times D? Who made that up? Do you have his name? Yeah, so you didn't show me anything. All right. One way to prove that momentum isn't energy is to give an example of something that has energy but not momentum. So that's the nonsense. You know, it just couldn't be a stupider statement, right? Newton didn't not believe in energy. Descartes didn't not believe in energy. Galileo didn't not believe in energy. Because they believed in momentum doesn't mean they don't think there's any energy in the universe, retard, because they thought momentum was energy. And I think they were perfectly rational to think so. That's the argument. A battery sitting on a table is one such example. So we've already been through this. So I did this earlier. It's just no point. Since momentum is defended as mass times velocity, the battery has no momentum. This is just too silly. I didn't say that, obviously. So he's responding to somebody else. So the other thing we need to do here is agree that you will do when you're shown you are wrong. So how the fuck is quoting this piece of absolute steaming crap? He's going to prove that batteries don't have momentum? They do when they're in the back seat of your car. What the fuck is he talking about? Right? I mean, he's so disconnected from reality. You're saying, how could this guy be, you know, how could people be interacting with this lunatic? 26,000 posts? He's insane. God damn. Will you accept it and apologize, or will you continue to rant? So, obviously I could say the same thing to this asshole. What are you going to do when I prove you're wrong, moron? Are you going to apologize to the 26,000 people you've no doubt insulted with your arrogant, pompous horseshit? You have 26,000 apologies to make. All right, so I put up the video. So, he says, show us a video of one then. So I showed the Professor Lewin experiment where he is proposed to demonstrate free energy. It's clearly a free energy experiment. So, I mean, I didn't even get to the perpetual motion machine that's so easy to build out of it. Doesn't even get to any of those arguments, because I was just seeing if they could get the simple fact that, gee, we really should have these experiments done well, because if this is true, it's significant. The fact that you can start with 100 momentum and you can finish the experiment with 165 and you didn't put any extra momentum in, that should impress the fuck out of people. All right. So I obviously was true to the clips. I played both the clips from Professor Lewin's video, the one where he intends to do the experiment and has the clay on the, the little glider, and then the experiment where he intends it to be inelastic and it turns out to be an elastic experiment and the results are completely the opposite. So the same experiment, one mass into a two mass, same exact experiment. The only difference is springs and no springs. And the results are completely in conflict with each other. So I show that in the video in a very honest manner. And this imply a lie sits there and says, okay, here's the whole video. The whole video doesn't have the experiments in it. The experiments are 2 minutes out of the whole video. but he posts the whole video anyway, right? Like it's somehow different. There's no difference in the videos. The clips are completely unaltered and unedited. All right. So at 22 minutes or so, you can see that the results of the measured that he measures agree with the predictions of the conventional science within 2% or better. And the whole point is that the two other experiments I'm going to show, and the one I did show already, are exactly the opposite. They're not within 2%. They're not even within 50%. The difference between 2/3 and 1/3, that's 50%. Okay, they're 50% off. Okay. Are you saying that your predictions offer better accuracy? I'm saying that his predictions obviously didn't turn out right in the second experiment. And in the Arbor scientific experiment, they're not also revealed to be correct. I'm saying the evidence is disgustingly unproven. Or are you citing a video that shows science working? So if this is your definition of working, you get completely contrary results for the same experiment. Completely contrary. And you say, that's science working. I mean, how stupid can he be? Okay, but pretending that it shows a failure. There's no pretending. It's right in the video. Right here it says 186. See, 186 isn't that, it's only 50 higher than 123. So clearly the twice as heavy object is moving really fast. And in the next video, the number here is going to be 275. It's going to be a lot more than twice the speed. I mean, half the velocity in terms of twice as big a number. Twice as big would be 143. I mean, obviously in the other video it was 111, so it would have been 222. Would have been twice the speed. But I mean, it's right in the video, for fuck's sake. And I said, so here he's ranting again. So the other thing we need to do here is agree on what you will do to show what you will do when we show you are wrong. Well, okay, well, what are you going to do when I show you're wrong? What? Is this a meaningful conversation? We'll have a meaningful conversation about what we're going to do if we find out we're wrong. Obviously, I'm quite confident I'm not wrong. You're confident you're wrong, but your confidence clearly requires you to lie and cheat. Where it doesn't, I'm not required to lie and cheat. What an idiot. All right, so draft physics. At 22 minutes or so, you can see, so I'm responding to that. Clearly, you don't understand what the video shows. Effectively, the same experiment was done with two conflicting results. If you need me to, I'll show you the Arbor scientific video that completely contradicts the results of Professor Lewin. I'm saying free momentum is impossible, regardless of the direction. I'm saying that Newton and Descartes said. So I posted the Arbor scientific. I just said, oh, fuck this. So I said, I'll just post it. I mean, this is just such bullshit. So this is just the Arbor scientific video where I point out that it's obvious Descartes moving much less than half the speed. Okay, it's not 2/3, it's 1/3. A dramatic different result. Dramatically different. Not a little bit different, dramatically different. And that should mean something to these people. All right. So this is where, it just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't matter. You provide evidence, they just don't care. Okay. So it says, I have likewise limited ability to do technically precise experiments. So that's me talking. Then he says, then we will have to make our predictions in advance. Well, I've obviously already made my predictions in advance. I'm predicting momentum always gets right answers and kinetic energy is full of shit. The only time kinetic energy is right is when it agrees with momentum. All the rest of the time it's wrong. There's only one day it's on time. It's like the broken clock. It's only right once a day. Kinetic energy only gets right answers once a day. And all the rest of the times, whenever you imbalance the weights of the masses, you change their ratios, it gets wrong answers. So I think that's already been clear what our predictions are. You predict a lever can create twice as much kinetic energy on one side as on the other side. I predict that'll never happen. I predict a tug of war between a 10-ton train and a 5-ton train going inverse velocities. The 10-ton train will not lose, and it will not win. Okay, I say this is starting to turn into a debate again. What the fuck? I mean, can you even, you can't even imagine how silly this is. I mean, I can't even fathom how below par this is, just how big a bogey of human civilization this is. This is such a fucktarded golf swing you got. You're hitting those old balls backwards. You know, we're not even coming close to getting this game right. When people don't think debate is essential to getting right answers. Essential. It's an essential part of the process. Essential. You can't do without it. So the category is called new fucking theories. And this motherfucking crazy kook is saying you can't debate new theories. So the only new theory you can propose is one that's completely compatible with their theories. Because if any of their theories have to be modified, they'll call it a debate and say you can't have it. We won't allow it. Our religion, our Jesus is God. If you have a new theory of God, it has to be a Holy Ghost. Or, you know, it has to be Jesus' brother, or it has to be something like that. It can't possibly, you know, Jesus did have a brother, by the way. Too funny, right? Anyway, so let's just play along, read some of this tripe. But I mean, it's just right there, you're just saying, how could an asshole this fucking clueless be in charge of a message board? How could this be a global moderator making decisions? This fucking idiot. All right. I see this is starting to turn into a debate again. How could it be anything other than a debate? We have two different definitions of reality. How the fuck do you resolve it without debating? You crazy bastard. Which needs to be avoided. Why? Because you'll lose the debate. That's why it needs to be avoided. I'm not the one running away. You're the fucker running away, you fucking coward. You fascist fucking piece of shit. Okay. Don't make me lock this thread too. So he talking as if he was made to do it. You know, that by some moral obligation he had to come to the rescue and silence people. Shut them up. Prevent their ideas from being published and argued. Their ideas aren't allowed to be argued. This fucking fascist fucking cunt. Amazing that assholes let these fucking cretins run anything. They are a blight on civilization. They are a blight on science. This is science pus. This is not good science. All right, anyway. On the other hand, I'm willing to let there be a thread about the experimental construction to test the standard kinetic energy equation, as long as everything's under my control. Yeah, as long as it doesn't become a repeat of the first thread. Well, again, what the fuck? The first thread didn't have anything called evidence in it, fuckhead. So you want to have a thread where we just wait until somebody links to evidence. Well, I've just linked to evidence and just shown how it's completely contradictory, that your conventional physics can't even produce standard reliable evidence. You can't repeat a fucking experiment to save your fucking lives. And you just play these games of quote mining. You know, confirmation bias all over the place. The last thing you're supposed to do as a fucking scientist is be guilty of confirmation bias. Guilty of quote mining the evidence to suit your theory. That's the highest crime you can commit as a scientist. All right, I think that has to be potential. I think that has the potential to be instructive to other viewers. Oh, he's such a kind person because he's just thinking about instructing all the ignorant people in his doctrinaire fascist philosophy. Okay. And as such, it gets my seal of approval. Isn't that just charming as fuck? So for 350 years, you've had no evidence and you've argued for something. Now you're saying, well, I think it'd be a good idea if we compiled some evidence, but we won't be able to argue about the evidence. Oh, okay. Do any of the other moderators object to that? Well, none of them voiced an opinion, and you just did your little fascist, the same routine all over again. You're just trying to shut up the opposition. You can't deal with the argument, so you run the fuck away because you're a miserable coward. Ugh, a despicable shit as a human being. All right. So I didn't respond to it. I said, okay, no point. Okay, no point, because he's just making his silly accusations like somehow he had a good reason to do a goddamn thing he's done here. No good reasons, no logic, no integrity shown whatsoever. He's a lying scoundrel. I committed no fucking goddamn obscenity. I did nothing to deserve to be silenced. All right. Please post the times at which the contrary results are obtained. So amazing. You play the clips of the video. He already has a link to the video himself, the Professor Lowen video. He posted it. So doesn't he know that both clips came from the same video? I said it right in the video. 20 minutes later in the same lecture, he does this experiment. So both clips are in the video he posted a link to, and he wants me to give him the time codes. How fucking ridiculous does it get? What a fucking idiot. I mean, 26,000 posts of this caliber? Please post the times of the video which I posted and presumably watched, and let me know where in the video I posted the content is? Fuck. Too silly. And then he makes another post. Arbor Scientific, he says. So that's it. He just quotes Arbor Scientific. That's it. At about 3:15, you say it's a complete contradiction because the momentum doesn't change. Well, that's a lie. That's not what I said. I overtly said because the velocity is 1/3 instead of 2/3. That's why it's a complete contradiction. In the other experiment, 2/3 the velocity. In the Arbor Scientific video, it's 1/3. That's what I said, you liar. You fucking disgusting, petty, jackass liar. How the fuck can you type something that's such a big, fuck, grotesque lie? I clearly state in the video, this is a contradiction. In the other video, it's 2/3. In this video, it's 1/3. How the fuck do you do this shit and still be able to walk the streets, you fucking lying scum? Okay. Anyway, amazing. But momentum is conserved properly. Yeah, that's my argument, okay? The Arbor Scientific video demonstrates that there is no creation of extra momentum. 100 momentums go in, 100 momentums came out. Okay, no problem. Professor Lowen's video, 100 momentums go in, 165 come out. Big problem. Fuck. We wouldn't expect it to change. So just amazing. The two experiments have completely different results, and he's confirming both of them. They're both correct. Shit. All right, so he says, what point did you think you were making? I'm making the point that the two experiments there's three of them. The three experiments are supposed to be the same experiment. They're supposed to get the same fucking results. The first experiment, done on purpose by Professor Lowen, gets the predicted results. The second experiment, okay, that was an accident by Professor Lowen, but it was in fact the same experiment, elastic, and it doesn't get the same results, and there is no 165 momentums. There's only 100 momentums making 100 momentums. So the experiment doesn't create the extra 65 momentums. And then the Arbor Scientific video shows exactly the same thing as the second Professor Lowen video, which it confirms that it's only 100 momentums in and 100 momentums out, and there is no 165. So two experiments show it not working, show your predictions, your kinetic energy theory failing dismally. And one experiment shows it working, and I point out that the experiment showing it working happens to have a blob of clay on it. Why's the clay there? Damn. At best, you seem to have shown that your experimental error, so my error, I made an error somehow, you have no evidence I made an error. So that's another lie by you. You just made that up. You have zero evidence I made any error, okay, in counting the centimeters, the half centimeters, the tenth of a centimeters, okay, no error made. Trying to judge distances per frame in a video is worse than the electronic timers. Well, you say it is, but do you have any evidence it is? Again, Arbor Scientific puts the tape measure there. They say, look, you just filmed the damn thing and you just watch the, frame by frame, how fast it moves, what distance. It's about as accurate as you can get in the sense that it's so perfectly visual. You can't, it can't do anything weird or strange or fucktarded. It can't be, it isn't vulnerable to any, lack of finagling with the dials in the right way. Amazing. What would anyone expect? So he's implying that I have somehow cheated because I did exactly what Arbor Freight expects you to do, which is film the experiment and view it on the tape measure. That's exactly the scientific plan. And because I suggest using that plan, he says, what would anyone expect? What a cheater. Fuck. All right. One of us, okay, so it says clearly you don't understand what the video shows. So yes, that was clear. And I explained what you weren't understanding. So we left out of the quote the part where I explained exactly what you're not understanding. You have 3 experiments all doing the same thing, and the results don't match. That's the kind of thing that should bother a scientist. Scientists should say, ooh, that looks like a problem. We better fix that. Why don't they match? That's what the scientist would say. Instead, you say, wave my flag, believe what I believe. One of us doesn't, and I say it shows that the guy who made it says that it is shows that it. So I can't even read this. And I say it shows what the guy who made it says that it shows. So he's saying that Professor Lewin's right or wrong. Doesn't matter whether he's right or wrong. Doesn't matter whether his experiments come up with different results. He's right. It's black and it's white. It's green and it's pink. Whatever he says goes. That's good science. Blind, ignorant faith. Wow. Okay, teach possible, question mark. So this is the guy who started this whole pretentious horseshit. You see how well it worked out, buddy? Right? You went in with your little suck dick, show them your hiney attitude. And what did they do? They didn't answer any questions. They didn't say a damn thing they hadn't already said on the other thread. What did they do? Did they F equals MAU? Yes. Did they say scalar versus vector U? Yes. Did they show you any evidence? No. Okay, so this is sort of his crap. Want to thank you and the others who offered some great explanations. So there's no great explanation of anything on the board. Nothing. He's just saying this crap because he thinks lying is a good strategy. If I could do the experiments you mentioned, that would be great. I would really look forward to the results. La 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 la. Pathetic. Anyway, so this is my last post. I think it's the last one. So he says, please post the times at which the contrary results are obtained. So I posted the links to the time codes, which seems insanely redundant, but I did it anyway. Then he says this little crap about at 3:15. The experiments I have completely contrary results. I should have put that in bold. In one experiment, the 2-mass object leaves with 2/3 the initial velocity. In the other, it is 1/3. So, I mean, it can't be any more simpler than that. Those are obviously different results or different outcomes for the experiment. Having different outcomes for the same experiment is not a good thing in science. You don't want that to be your, how you end the story. And we end the story with, we got completely contrary results, but we didn't care because we have faith in our leaders. Bullshit. Okay, so it says, at best, you seem to have shown that your experimental error, so I didn't make any error, Trying to judge the distances per frame in the video is worse than the electronic timers in the other video. So Professor Lewin's videos had exactly the same timers for both experiments. So the timers are not at issue. They're exactly the same time. It's 20 minutes later, asshole. 20 minutes. There's a 20 minutes difference between the two experiments, jackass. Done with exactly the same equipment, except you changed the cart. Fuck. The entire reason the Arbor Scientific video has a tape measure running along the track is to produce highly accurate documentation of speed. So that's all I said. I didn't go any further. It says, one of us doesn't... something, whatever that crap was he wrote. When experiments don't produce the same results, just pretend they did. Question mark. So that's the question. When experiments don't produce the same results, just pretend they did. That's their scientific method. That's the science these asshole fascist bastards are in favor of. Deny the experiments, essentially. Fuck experiments. We don't need no fucking experiments. We have our delusions. They're so much more important than evidence. That certainly isn't out of any good science book. All right, and then we have Farley, no doubt, the troll. I'm trying to say this as respectfully as possible. His misunderstandings are psychotic. His only modus operandi is to BS his way by appealing to Newton, which isn't a bad thing to appeal to, frankly. And you're slandering him. So that's the difference between us. I think he was a great man to stand on the shoulders of. You think he's a great man you should stomp into the ground. You should piss on him with Leibniz's dick. That's what you're doing. You're pissing on him with the man he hates dick. That's how big a bastard, an asshole you are. Yeah, and I'm going to fight you because I think that's really a nasty thing to do. You fucking lying, cheating piece of shit. All right, I won't read the rest of the crap. It's absolute crap. All right, so he says the NASA pages that mention kinetic energy. The NASA pages had nothing to do with navigating space. They had to do with fuel consumption in jet engines. Obviously, you can just make that shit up. You know, you can just say the thrust is 568 million joules. Or it could be 253 million joules, right? How are you? Are you going to test it and find out? I don't think you are. So, complete horseshit. Okay. And so then I say, okay, the document was about jet engines and had absolutely nothing to do with navigating a spaceship in empty space. And I say to the mods, in fairness, you should require maxi to make post relevant to the subject. So that was the extent of me responding. Didn't want to get into a fight. Just saying, hey, you can see quite obviously he's talking about a bunch of shit. Has no place in this conversation. All right, and then this asshole closed the board. Okay, so I said, mods, in fairness, you should require maxi to make post relevant to the subject. I'll do one better than that. I'll shut you up instead. Yeah, see? I mean, it's so amazing. Oh, anyway, since this thread has turned into a debate, and again, so how would I supposed to know that I can't defend Newton, Galileo, and Descartes, and I can't do anything called debating? Why would you think, what good is a message board if it isn't good for debating? I mean, what other purpose does it serve? Can you explain to me why a forum would be interesting if you can't debate on it? Is there some other use for forums than to do debates? Can somebody link me to a forum? I mean, I think even recipe forums, they might argue about, well, I think applesauce is a better egg replacement than vinegar. You know, I could imagine they would even debate something. Fuck, God, this is so pathetically pink underwear. Oh. Since this thread has turned into a debate, I'm going to have to close it like the other one. I'm going to do the same preposterously fascist, stupid, moronic, unexcusable, retarded thing. And I'm going to shut down conversation merely because I don't like it. I am the god of the forum. Oh, disgusting. If you want to discuss the possibility of doing an actual experiment, why would I want to discuss anything with you, fuckface? Why? You're a despicable shit. Okay, send me a personal message. No, fuck you. Send me a message when you did an experiment, jackass. But I'm not going to send you a message ever, except, all right, when you're proven to be the colossal asshole you have been, I've already proven you to be, but when other people feel it and sense it and recognize it, yeah, maybe I'll just keep doing this every day. Maybe every day I'll build a little monument to what a big, fat, fucking turd of a human being you are. You piece of fucking scum. How dare you deny me the right to speak, you fucking piece of shit. Alright. Buh. I hate this planet. Yuck. Yeah, there's nothing good to say. Nope. Alright, so anyway. So another day wasted, really, right? I mean, I've already gone over the Professor Lewin thing on the channel, and there's been no rational responses, so nobody can explain the paradoxes, nobody can defend it, and that's okay. They don't need evidence. They don't need the evidence to look good. They don't care how shitty the evidence is. They just believe. You're all just religious kooks. I really didn't think scientists were all religious kooks, but you're clearly demonstrating you don't give a fuck about facts, you don't give a fuck about evidence, you don't give a fuck about logic. You just give a fuck about defending your delusions. Just like a religious shit for a brain. And it's just so damn fucking depressing. So with that, see you next time and such.